Ladies and gentlemen, this is Odd Job Entertainment bringing you a video today. I'm not dead, I'm just busy. I got a lot of stuff going on IRL that I'm excited to show you progress updates about in the near future, but until then, my video content hasn't been as great with the output rate, but I am still working on stuff, so stick around. I think that you'll be happy. There's some really cool stuff to show off. But guys, CitizenCon 2023 is right around the corner, and you can bet that there are going to be a ton of announcements to build hype for future releases of Star Citizen. As I'm sure you've seen, many YouTubers suspect that Squadron 42 is going to have a release date announced. I myself do think that it's very likely that they will announce a release date, but I've learned to be skeptical in their ability to hit it. Of course, the more guesses you make, the more likely you are going to be right at least one point at some time, so maybe this is the one that they'll hit. But today I want to talk about ships, specifically the long backlog of unreleased ships. I'm positive that there will be some releases at CitizenCon. Based on developer comments, I would not hold my breath on any big ships being released, but this is a major sales event for Star Citizen, so of course they're going to have some sales and ships to show off, probably a few concepts, and I'm sure to the irk of many people, they're probably going to announce yet another big ship to go into the concept chain. But today we're going to make a tier list and look at the backlog and make some predictions on when they'll come out and what order they'll come in. First, a disclaimer, I don't work for CIG, and I don't have any clue, just like anybody else, what Chris Roberts is thinking. There's no way I could make a system to grade these ships that everyone is going to be happy with. My goal is simply to put in perspective the relative complexity of some of these ships and how that could affect their position on the list of priorities. If you disagree with me, go ahead and leave a comment down below. I look forward to engaging in civil discourse with anyone that watches this. And for today, our criteria is pretty simple. The more features that a ship depends on is a point against it in release date. For our purposes, size and usage in Squadron 42 are also features, but of course things like refining and exploration also fit the bill. Now it's difficult to know exactly which ships are going to be in Squadron 42, so to keep things simple, if it's an unreleased combat ship, Squadron 42, alright? By those metrics, unsurprisingly, the Misk Endeavor is a solid F-tier ship. Let's see, where do I got that picture? The Misk Endeavor, it's massive, it relies on modularity, and each of those modules relies on other things to be in the game for it to work. So it's highly unlikely, in my opinion, that CIG will be dedicating any kind of serious resources to a ship like that until much, much down the chain. Next on our list is the Idris variants. Oh, did I mention that I am mostly blind, apparently? Okay, here we go. Idris. I'm going to pitch all these variants together. There's, of course, the P, the M, and the K. They're all the same size, obviously, and rather than being modular, they're different models. Very much like the Drake Corsair, not the Corsair. Oh, shoot. What's the name of the ship? The Cutlass. The one that everyone uses, the Drake Cutlass. It comes in various variants. Not really modular, but they're different types of the same ship. So we're going to pitch them all together. There is some cross-compatibility in the form of kits that can exchange the functionality between them. With all that said, this is a ship that features heavily in Squadron 42. It's in the 200+ meter category. Each of those is going to be 2 points against the Idris-I, putting them all at C tier. There we go, first C tier ship. Then there's the Javelin, being over 400+ meters long. And featured in Squadron 42, we've got 6 points, placing this at E tier, once I can find it in my list here. Here we go. Now, the Idris and Javelin are both in an interesting position in that we've seen them in game. They participate in combat, but we've not seen full interiors, and we know that they do take center stage in Squadron 42. So for that reason, it makes sense that there is a lot of stuff that's being kept behind that curtain, the interiors included. So while they do have a lot of visibility in the game, they're still going to be lower on our tier list for those reasons. Next, we've got the SRV. The SRV is a dedicated tractor beam ship, serves the same function as tugboats in our modern day. It can assist large vessels in navigating tight spaces and carry damaged vessels into safer dry docks. This is important for future ships as it will be the start of ship-mounted tractor beams and will bring with it more depth and variety to current tractor gameplay. For my baby, the Galaxy, it will bring some important copy and paste functionality to make the cargo hold more usable. The single added feature makes this an S tier ship. There we go, SRV, S tier. Next is the Nautilus mine laying ship. Mine laying, or mines in general, are a feature we don't have yet. Sure, it's another kind of combat and will likely be very similar to missiles and bombs, but we all know CIG and we know that they'll want to make some kind of minigame for this functionality. It also features in Squadron 42, so that's another 2 points. It's 100 plus meters, so that's an additional point. This gives us 4 points total, placing this at C tier. Now we've got the Retaliator modules. We've got the Retaliator in-game, at least the bomber variant, but that center room is supposed to be swappable for different functions. So in a sense, there is a pending release coming down the pipeline to bring the Retaliator up to snuff. But modularity being a feature, that's a point against it. However, since we do have the ship in-game and modularity is all we're waiting for, this still goes to S tier. Next, we've got the Aegis Vulcan, a repair ship. It's featured in Squadron 42. No points added for size, so we've got 3 points, putting this at B tier. Yay! Then we've got the F7A variants. Where are they chilling? Right here. This is the updated model for the F7. We've seen this in Expos, and it is essentially finished, but it's also a Squadron 42 ship. This is our first A tier ship. And then we've got the F8 Lightning. This is in the same boat as the F7. It's in the game, and in this case, you can actually fly it today if you hijack it from an NPC. So full interiors, basically done. Might need a little bit of polish, but because it's in Squadron 42, we don't have access to it yet. The version we'll have access to is the F8C, the civilian version, which is in functionality identical, except that it is stripped down in firepower. This goes right next to the F8 in A tier. Up next is the Anvil Legionnaire, a boarding craft with some time in Squadron 42. There's my picture of it right here. This is our second B tier ship. Boarding, no points added for size, but boarding is a new feature, and it's featured in Squadron 42, so that's 3 points. And next we've got the Anvil Liberator. Here we go. The Anvil Liberator is over 100 meters, functions as a troop and ship transport. We do have ship hangars already, so this is a feature that we do in essence have, but I think it's going to require more work to make the Liberator possible, the way that some of the doors open and there's some movable pads. Squadron 42, 100 meters and one feature, make this C tier ship. All right, next we've got the Genesis Starliner, passenger transport, currently listed at 85 meters, but since it is an unreleased ship, very likely to increase, and that would be an optional point added against this. But this slips into S tier. It's only got one added feature, and it doesn't gain a point currently for size. Slide that in. If it does get an increase in size, that would drop it down to A tier, but still relatively easy ship to implement in-game, in my opinion. Now for the Banu Merchantman. I am really tempted to just straight up slam this into F tier because it seems like CIG loves to dangle that carrot and taunt BMM owners. But I'll be fair and give those players a fighting chance. This is a flying Walmart and cargo trader. Cargo is nothing new, but the flying Walmart is. It's also over 100 meters. There's been some level of work done for this ship and a lot of art exploration. So it's a little tougher to know how much has actually been done versus how much remains to be done. But sticking with our criteria, this ends up in A tier. This might be very optimistic, but I'm pulling for you BMM owners. Actually, thinking about it a little more, this is an alien ship, so I'm going to give it 2 more points, knocking this down to C tier. The reason why is human architecture is much more easily understood because that's what we live in. We see it every day. But to make something look alien requires a different, finer artistic brush. So there's a lot more artistic involvement required to make something like the Banu Merchantman. We don't have a ton of alien ships in game at the moment, and they generally take a little longer just from that art perspective. So I'm sorry, BMM. It's still higher on the tier list, but I'm dropping it down to C tier. The Consolidated Outland Pioneer is a versatile base building ship. It comes in at over 200 meters. Base building is a highly anticipated feature. I've talked about it in previous videos as it is critical to adding a sense of progression to the game. 3 points puts it at B tier. I personally hope that as far as features go, they prioritize base building, but it's also a fairly complex feature, so I'm not holding my breath. Maybe after Pyro, probably along with Nyx, since thematically Nyx is supposed to be more of like a homestead type system. Anyway, next we've got the Spirit line. The A1 and C1 are both within standard gameplay loops of bombing and cargo, but the E1 is for executive transport. Just this once, we're going to let that slide and place these 46-meter long ships into S tier. Also, given that we know that a ton of work has already been done on these ships, their release is right around the corner, doesn't make sense to put them much further down. Then we've got the Drake Krakens, a couple of variants here, but essentially the same in complexity. We're rolling these ones together, just like with the Idris. At 270 meters long, and ship transport gives us 3 points for B tier. That is the Kraken. There we go. B tier. There you go. Other than that, definitely a cool concept. It sells out every time in spite of the insane price. I would love to see this in game. And if my very rudimentary scale is anything to go by, it might be one of the sooner large ships to come in. Sooner, patent pending, trademark, all that stuff. After the Krakens, we've got the Javelin. This is an alien cargo ship. It's alien, so we'll slot this in to A tier with 2 points. Other than that, given its relatively small size, I wouldn't expect this one to take as long to develop. That's a good thing for the larger ships that follow, because while it is small, it still contributes to the design portfolio of its species. So other ships from that alien race might be faster to develop thanks to having smaller ships already on the table. Oh boy. Now we've got the RSI Orion. This is a massive mining ship at 340 meters. It has an onboard refinery and storage for an impressive amount of mineable material. It's currently listed at 384 SCU. I think there's no way it stays at that capacity. We're talking a ship that is nearly 3 carracks in length. But it requires refinery. It is over 300 meters in length, so at 4 points, this slides into C tier. The Mist Expanse, dedicated refinery ship. Needs refining to be in the game, but that's it. It's a relatively smaller ship on this list, so it slides in at S tier. We're going to treat the Hull series as a group. We've got the Hull C committed for 3.20, so the major feature that was holding back the Hull series is solved, in theory anyway. The largest of these ships is, of course, the Hull E, which is what we've got the picture of here. It's 372 meters in length and boasts an absurdly high 98,000 SCU. If this were in-game today, this would be an economy destroyer. Oh wait, we don't have an economy, so maybe it is already in the game because the economy is destroyed. This thing can roll up at and alter stock exchange values. Since the only major thing holding it back is its size, this slips in at B tier, and I expect that these smaller hull ships will come out first, but I think the rest will all come out at close intervals. Now we've got the Misk Odyssey. Kind of an interesting ship. It's 140 meters long and is supposed to be the Misk answer to the Anvil Carrack. It has a tier 2 med bay, built-in refinery, hangar, mining equipment, and cargo bay. Compared to some other ships with these capabilities, this is special in that it is not modular and has all these amenities at once. This comes into our list at B tier. If it did rely on modularity, it would be knocked down a peg. We'll see that in just a minute. Then we've got the Apollos. These are dedicated medical ships, not too big, kind of like an ambulance for spacemen. So these slip into S tier. Now we come to the Galaxy. Y'all know this one hurts me. It's a ship that I bought. It's a modular ship from RSI. It's just over 100 meters. It can be a refinery, cargo, med ship, and given that more modules come out, could be much more, but only ever one at a time. has a little hanger, and it is a beautiful looking Angry Space Dorito. I mean, I love the look of the RSI Galaxy. Comes into B tier. I would love to place this in S tier since it's mine, but who are we kidding? It's going to be a while before we see this one. Now we've got the Perseus. This is a really cool heavy gunship. Clocks in at just at 100 meters, right on the dot. No features that need to be added to the game. So this could be a relatively proximate release, but since it's an unreleased combat ship, we're going to give it the Squadron 42 treatment, and that means that this goes from S tier down to B tier. Sorry, guys. Then there's the Polaris, a torpedo boat. Ignoring everything, I'm giving this S tier because at the moment, it's theoretically in active development. So in theory, we should see this soon-ish. But otherwise, if it suffers the same fate as the Banu Merchantman, for instance, it drops down to B tier pretty quick. There's several Vanduul ships on the unreleased list. There's not a ton known about any of them, so I'm not going to try to place them anywhere on this list, and likewise, they are all pretty much locked into Squadron 42, so they wouldn't be very high on the list anyways. Lastly, we've got the Santok Yai, and this is a easy S tier ship. I mean, it's practically done. It just needs a couple art passes and the green light, and then it's done. It looks like in my script, I forgot to add the Crucible. So let's think about it. Crucible, ship repair, refueling. Refueling's already in the game, so repair. Let's double check how big the Crucible is. Okay, 50 meters. So pretty small ship. Since it is combat adjacent, I am going to give it the Squadron 42 treatment. That's going to drop this down to B tier, these other guys. There we go. That is my tier list. We don't have any D ships here, but we've got quite a healthy group in B. S looks pretty good. If we look at these, I think we can all agree that these are ships that will probably come out pretty soon. The only real misnomer or discrepancy here is the Polaris. It's a big ship, and it could get dropped off the roadmap anytime at this point. I hope for the sake of the Polaris owners that it doesn't go through that treatment, but anything's possible. So I'm cautiously optimistic, but I think these S tier ships could come out pretty soon. We've got 3 fighters, or well, 2 fighters and a cargo ship in A tier. So that's pretty good. B tier is where I think a lot of the excitement is. I mean, for me especially, because that's, of course, the RSA Galaxy. I want that one to come out pretty soon. We've also got the rest of the Hull series, the Krakens. I mean, a lot of big players here. In much happier news, we are doing a giveaway with Monster Tech. So if you want a chance to win a set of chair or desk mounts, like the ones that I have mounted to my flight chair here, all you have to do is like and subscribe to my channel and comment on any of my videos during the giveaway period with that video's corresponding secret word. Today's secret word is, actually there's 2. There is the name of the ship that I have invested into, that I'm waiting for. And the other one, so you get 2 chances with this video. I'd do that as 2 separate comments to double your chances. Anyways, the other word is going to be the name of the ship that you are personally invested in. That could be in the literal sense, as in you've already dropped money on those ships. Maybe they're just on your wish list. Maybe it's just the ship that you're really excited for. But let's talk about the ships that get us going. Monster Tech needs no introduction. They make solid products. I've been seen using my flight chair here several times on stream at this point. The flight sticks, the flight sticks aren't actually from Monster Tech, but the mounts that they're sitting on, those are from Monster Tech, and those are really good. They're very solidly built. The functionality is perfect. They've been a delight to work with, and I get a kick every time I have to do the joystick transformation. It's just so satisfying to have those magnets click into place, and it works perfectly for what I need. I do video editing, obviously, and I play Star Citizen, and I play a lot of other games. And between all of the various hobbies that are all tied to my desk, it's nice to have a chair that can accommodate all of them. And that's what Monster Tech built for me. So I know that if you get any Monster Tech products, you'll be happy with your purchase. And if you want to get 5% off your order, all you have to do is use code ODDJOB at checkout. Other than that, like, share, comment, subscribe, do all the YouTube things. Let me know what you think. And until next time, this is Oddjob Entertainment signing off.